ever wanted. Never like me when you sober, only like you when I'm lonely. Got me looking in the mirror, for the self-diagnosis. Feel like they villainize me, for they ever get to know me. They tell me that you need me, the action didn't show it. Knowing that you play the angles, and I'm seeing through your motives. But the weight down on my shoulder, found a way to hold it. I can't keep my focus, barely keep composure. Hard when I've been coping with all the pressure that I fed. Make it hard to hold my head, make it hard to get to sleep. Like I'm slipping.
Yeah, it's live. I'm looking at it now.
Right the Bronx with the lead. Life is not a guarantee. Just down by the clip. Still prescribed a Dylan mess. Now the way to flee the scene. I've been trying to get a grip onto something out of reach. Life is speeding to a peak. It's how I realize that I'm not the man I wanna be. I've been running for myself. We all afraid to die alone. Scared that's all I ever be. I've been scrolling down a feed. Afraid we never get to see the type of liberation that we really need to set us all free.
Like It or Not with Benjamin Dixon starts now.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning.
What's going on, man? What you do?
Good morning, y'all.
That boy flying in that blazer.
I love it. I should have wore a blazer. Let me go get a blazer from the closet because this is everything.
You got a blazer in the closet, Rebecca?
I got like
I wasn't
10.
gonna wear it.
Oh. They're like blazer dresses though, but some of them are kind of inappropriate because their buttons don't go all the way up. And I don't wear undershirts. Yeah, they're like club blazers.
I'm for it.
That's got
I'm
nothing
for
to
it,
do with
Rebecca.
me.
I say wear it.
Yeah, I'm for it too. Shoot.
I'm for it.
But you
Good
look
morning.
good. You look amazing.
Yeah, you looking fly. And he got a matching
Thank
mug.
y'all.
This man got a match.
Crap.
Put the mug next to the blazer.
Bubba came. Okay,
He's got
Bubba
the white
came
blazer with the white mug with the turquoise, and for the audience and for the listening audience, he's wearing it. You look sharp, brother. Good morning, everybody.
You look great.
I appreciate that, y'all. I appreciate that.
Welcome to Like It or Not, where we're free to tell the truth
and not care who doesn't like it.
All right, that's it. How's everybody doing this morning in the chat rooms? Click that like, share, and subscribe button. You know what it is. You know what to do. We have some great guests coming up today. Rebecca, what's on your radar? What you got going on? Fill us in with a good story because you always got something
always
to tell us.
It's but nothing good today. Imagine that. Imagine that. I just don't. Nothing good today.
Nothing. Just rent and corporate life. And
maybe the rent is due. And
the rent is due. Yeah, I remember that dude from New York. The rent is too damn high. You remember him?
I did that. I did a story on that when I was in college.
Listen, they made fun of that man, but that brother was speaking truth to power all the way back then. He said,
and we didn't understand because I was paying my little rent, my little Tallahassee rent at the time. When rent was like $500. Somebody said they remember when rent was $300. I don't know that life, but I remember when it was $500 when I was living in, the college area in Tallahassee. And then I remember when it was like $700. How did we get here? How did we get to like $1,500 rent?
Right, because my rent was like $10 in college because I was able to get on Section 8. I got lucky. I got the housing assistance.
Oh, that's a blessing.
Man, what? I loved it. $8.
The cheapest rent I've ever paid was $900, and I would love to go back to that. But let me tell you, the worst rent I ever paid was for a 2-bedroom shanty hovel in Boston, $2,300. I didn't even want people. Matter of fact, one of my producers came. The only time he ever came to my house from Boston was when I needed help moving because I was just too embarrassed because it was like a little 2-room nothing, and it cost us more. It cost us like $2,300 a month. So you asked the question, how do we get here? It's called capitalism. It's called the rent, the landlords.
The rent is too damn high.
The rent is too damn high.
Too goddamn high.
In the spirit of Chairman Mao. Oh, good Lord. We got to get rid of these rents. But anyway, I digress. Welcome to the show, everybody. We have a lot of news and politics to cover and shenanigans to cover. We're going to be joined by Anthony Clark today. Well, with what's Javante's last name? We have a featured artist today for the first time.
Yes.
Sir.
This is why Bubba is sharp.
That's why he's sharp.
Look, I was just going to put on my sweater vest and keep it like real Mr. Rogers like, but I was just like, I looked at the coat and I looked at the color and I was just like, this is your moment.
I keep this. Now make sure when you do the interview, when you do your interview, make sure you put your cup up, put your tea cup up so they can see that it's matching. And also, we're going to be joined later on today by Isiah James, three dynamic brothers this morning, two dynamic in politics, and looking forward to those interviews. I had a good time yesterday. Yesterday's episode was, I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
We know you enjoyed it.
It was fun.
Well, I was looking for you to say that you enjoyed it too, Black Brother. Lord,
I had a really good time. I had a really good time.
Nah, I ain't setting her up for nothing else. Matter of fact, I ain't setting her up for nothing else.
Even though I came late because I had to work, but I love watching you guys right before. And I love, I try to get in there with the audience. I miss being with the audience at times, but I love watching you guys, and I love like feeling like, okay, this is my morning show. I like that. So yeah, yesterday, it's so funny because we have like different themes for each show. Yeah, I feel like, and yesterday was our like love. Yeah, love, or Jesus in politics, or religion in politics. Yeah. And how it doesn't mix, but we can show clearly that it can, right? But people have voices, and doesn't matter. The church can have a voice, or people who are religious leaders can have a voice. No matter what you believe in, you can definitely have a voice when it comes to politics. So. Right. If so long as you're not out there hitting people across the head with your particular interpretation. Yeah, and that's what with the signs on the damn sidewalks. Oh my goodness! Like it's hard. It's hard being a person of faith. Building up little culty children on the side of the sidewalk. You see what they be taking their kids out there with those signs, and stuff. It's a mess. So, but shout out to Professor Anthea Butler and Marion Williamson for making yesterday such a great episode. Dwayne, I said I kind of wanted to start with but I want to start with former CIA Director John Brennan. I don't know if anyone watched this clip, but during an appearance on MSNBC, former CIA Director John Brennan responded to former Democratic Missouri Senator Claire McCaskill, calling out CPAC's mostly white male audience who were obsessing over cancel culture. Now, former Director John Brennan said that he is, quote, increasingly embarrassed to be a white male in response. Let's take a look at that clip and see what this Ben is talking about.
That's why we started with Katie Benner's great new reporting about the investigation into police officer. It renders, at best hypocritical, at worst cynical and false, any notion that the Republicans care about the lives and the safety of law enforcement.
Well, I must say, to Claire's point, I'm increasingly embarrassed to be a white male these days. And what I see of my other white males saying. But it just shows that with very few exceptions, like Mitt Romney, Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, there are so few Republicans in Congress who value truth, honesty, and integrity. And so they'll continue to gaslight the country the way that Donald Trump did. And the fact that this has such security and safety implications for the American public and for the members of Congress, again, as Claire said, it is just a disgusting display of craven politics that really should have no place in the United States in 2021.
Katie,
now, y'all know we gonna play that clip over. And no matter of fact, Dwayne, just go ahead and reduce it to the one part where he says, "I'm embarrassed to be a white male." Go ahead, Rebecca. You about to say something.
No, that was it. It was his sincerity when he said it, because I felt that. He just looked, it was like, it's pitiful to be us. Like, we just can't never get it right. Look at us. No, look at us. We're an embarrassment.
Yes, those white men are. But listen, I want to contextualize a little bit. I'm not a fan, and no one should be a fan of the CIA, former director or not, because shout out to them for all the destruction and chaos they've caused globally, as well as in the Black community specifically. And so if he has any guilt over anything, it shouldn't just be about being a white male, but it's also a white male who has helped propagate some of the worst coups in the global history and destabilizing democracies. So I have to put that in context. Now, bringing it back to just the foolishness of, everything that he said was true, right? But I'm not moved anymore by white guilt. It's just like, okay, cool. Now, what are you going to do actually about it? Right. It's one thing to get on TV and say, but what you going to do if the CIA would do to white supremacy in this country what it did to Black revolutionaries, then we wouldn't have this problem, Brennan. So that's just, but for the sake of some joy, could you just play again where he says it's glorious. Just one more time for the records. I'm sorry, guys.
If he has it ready.
But it just shows that with the very few exceptions like Mitt Romney, Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, there are so few Republicans in Congress who value truth.
Never mind, I take that back.
Embarrassed to be a white male these days.
There it is.
Like what I see, embarrassed to be a white male these days.
It's her laughing for me.
Well, I must say, to Claire's point, I'm increasingly embarrassed to be a white male these days.
It's her.
And he paused it right on her lap.
Well, I must say, to Claire's point, I'm increasingly embarrassed to be a white male these days. Well, I must say, to Claire's point, I'm increasingly embarrassed to be a white male these days. Well, I must say, to
and I'm talking about she bust out laughing too.
It made her laugh. It made her laugh like it made us laugh. So she understands. She understood. Yeah, Ben, you said something important. The simple fact that your white guilt is funny.
It's cool.
It's cute.
It's enjoyable.
It's cute.
But what else, sweetie? Now, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna go get your other people and get make it right? What y'all doing? See, this is my thing. Y'all stay shouting. And some of y'all that watch this too, getting on social media and
don't talk about our audience. We need this audience.
I'm just saying, y'all gotta make sure that it's a difference. There's a difference instead of just saying, white people suck and you're white. It's not the same. Like, I need you to get your people because at the end of the day, that's still your race. And
that's your cousins.
People, and get your people and just rally them up and teach them and show them.
Yeah.
That's what the point of you watching the show is, to go and teach and show those other people a better way. Send the message or whatever. Not, wow, watching this show made me feel less of a racist. And that's not what the point of this show is. That's not what the point of that's not what the point of some of these things are. And I feel like that's why y'all can't just say things and do nothing. Black
lives matter.
Yeah. The weight is on your shoulders because it's been on ours forever. And it just, white guilt don't mean nothing to me.
It don't. Now, don't get me. Go ahead, Jay. I'm sorry. I'm going to jump in there. Go ahead. What you got?
Oh no, I'm gonna say it don't mean a damn thing. It's show and prove. Now you got to do something.
Show and prove, man. Don't talk about it. What you gonna do about it?
Right.
Hey man, talk to your colleagues at the CIA and let them flood the white supremacist community with crack like y'all did the black community, right? If you really feel bad about being a white male because of how Let's Make America Great Again is sabotaging the United States of America, go and infiltrate all of their camps like you infiltrated all of the black revolutionary camps. I'm not going to tell you to take them out like that because like you did all of our black revolutionaries, but I mean, come on. If you really want that, like what good is white guilt if it's not actually doing something? I don't need you guys to fly Black Lives Matter flags and then gentrify our neighborhoods. We need you, if you're going to represent all the way. Go ahead and take down white supremacy because not only is it a threat to black lives and brown lives all across the globe, it's a threat to this democracy. So shout out to Brennan for at least having the first step.
Yeah. And then especially in these times, right? We just had two major movies that have strengthened our minds in knowledge and I'm talking about Judas and the Black Messiah.
Yep.
And then Billie Holiday versus U.S. Birth versus Billie Holiday. Yeah. It highlighted, and not to make us not like white folks even more. No, that's not the case. Right. And some of these movies actually showed, which is kind of weird to me. I had to check that out, but like camaraderie and stuff like that in some ways. But then it showed us dang, that was just not too long ago. But even then, it was just to see that major people who deserved to have a voice and things like that were trying to be silenced by the feds. And now the feds embarrass the white folks. I don't have any guilt for you. Just this whole thing. There's nothing there. I don't have any sympathy, empathy, or none of that for y'all because this is the time for y'all to start putting y'all. I can't say money where your mouth. I don't know.
No. Wait. Actually, you can. Because white guilt is a commodity in this country. Let's keep it 100, right? There's plenty of people in these spaces cashing in on white guilt. We're not one of those groups, but you can go to patreon.com/the BPD show and support this show, or download the Voices app. If John Brennan, if you're feeling that guilty, then actually put it to good use, right?
A representation of reparations. It's not reparations.
Okay,
get some representation.
It's representation.
if you feel really bad about it, which honestly, let's just be real. Like, I don't think he actually, he said it, but cool. But I don't really believe it because it is the thing to say. It is the cool thing to say. Like, oh, I'm so sorry for the sins of my ancestors. Okay, what you gonna do about it though? Right. You're gonna fight with us for reparations, like Marion Williamson. You're gonna fight for us to end cash bail across this country. You're gonna fight to legalize marijuana and expunge, right, and give clemency to all of our brothers and sisters who are locked up because they were the pioneering entrepreneurs of the drug sale of weed sales. Nah. So if they're not gonna actually line up behind policy that's gonna change people's lives, I appreciate the sentiment. It's really funny. Matter of fact, let's play it again, but it don't mean much unless you're putting something behind it. Let's listen to him one more time before we hit the road.
Well, I must say, to Claire's point, I'm increasingly embarrassed to be a white male these days.
It's not enough.
It's not.
Now I'm just mad that he said it. Look, now we done broke it down all the way. I'm just mad that he even said it. Just be quiet.
Because you know that it's there, so you just breaking it down in that minute. It's like, you mother.
That's it. Just be quiet.
Yeah. I mean, we
just be quiet, right?
That's the thing. You go one level lower, go one level deeper than what people are saying, and most of the time it falls apart into a bunch of nothingness that actually is offensive at the end of the day. Because you think about, we've already said, I'm not going to say it again. Let me back off of that. And what else y'all want to talk? I mean, we got plenty of other stories, but I just had to get that one out the way because it really touched my soul this morning.
Oh, well, you know what we can do? I know that if we can, just touch on the Golden Globes real quick.
Yeah.
I know that we got to get to some politics. I know that we, wanted to start the show off with politics.
Trust me, I'll find a way to make it political.
I was like, Ben, I don't want to throw you off your rocker right now. But yesterday, I know that we discussed it. And I don't know if I didn't get a chance to go into the comment section and see if, somebody was able to help me understand how the Golden Globes or these award shows work. As far as when it comes to picking, because of the time and the timing, it's just weird to me. But I wanted to highlight the looks, at least something positive. Chadwick Boseman, he won Best Actor, RIP, in a drama at the Golden Globes on Sunday. Taylor Simone Ludward, Boseman's wife, accepted the award on his behalf. Now, this is kind of emotional, but let's take a look at what she had to say.
That was powerful.
He would thank God. He would thank his parents. He would thank his ancestors for their guidance and their sacrifices. He would thank his incredible team, Michael Green, Azim Chiba, Nikki Fioravante, Evelyn O'Neill, Chris Huvane, Logan Coles. He would thank his team on set for this film. Deirdre Dixon, Sean Richards, Craig Anthony, and Andrew Carlone. He would say something beautiful.
Wow.
Something inspiring, something that would amplify that little voice inside of all of us that tells you you can, that tells you to keep going, that calls you back to what you are meant to be doing at this moment in history. He would thank Mr. George C. Wolfe, Mr. Denzel Washington, lots of people at Netflix. He would thank Ms. Viola Davis, Mr. Glenn Turman, Mr. Michael Potts, Mr. Coleman Domingo, Ms. Taylor Page, Mr. Dusan Brown. And I don't have his words. But we have to take all the moments to celebrate those we love.
Dang.
So thank you, HFPA, for this opportunity to do exactly that.
Come on.
I didn't know. I
Thanks a lot.
And
I watched it and I didn't.
You keep them coming. Thank you.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Now I wanted to play that, not the whole thing, but thank you for that. I think that needed to be heard.
Shout out to her for having that kind of strength.
Yes, just how powerful and Chadwick's Boseman's work was. It was very powerful. Yeah. He worked up until his dying days, and that was the beautiful part of it. And to see everyone's face and reactions, that was good too. Now,
Well, what I do, I just, because, I mean, that's, you know how I don't think it took a lot for her to go out there and do that. And it meant a lot for her to go out there and do that because, you know, Chadwick was a gem, you know, and I don't really, I didn't talk about his passing on the show much. And I honestly, I didn't even tell, a lot of parents were telling their kids that Black Panther died. And I didn't tell my kids that because just because that was my parental discretion at that point, you know, because there's a lot of trauma happening right now. And that sister stood there, sat there and just really poured out to a whole lot of people the value of his life. You know, sometimes we take a look at it and it's like, you know, he's an artist and he's gone and we're sad, but he was a father. He was a husband. He was a son. He was a brother. Like he was a genuine friend to a whole lot of people. And so for her to have that strength to come there, it's just, I have to salute her on a whole nother level because I just can't imagine so quickly after his passing, having that kind of strength to go and do what she did. So salute, we salute her. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's big time. I don't even know how to come out of that because I'm like, dang.
We can go to more politics if you will.
No, there's more to cover.
I mean, because you know I don't. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, and I will say, make sure if you have not seen that movie, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, amazing movie, and Chadwick deserved everything that he was given. Just amazing.
All these movies he did, literally while fighting cancer.
Yeah,
I mean.
That means that the whole time he had cancer, filming Avengers, all the Marvel movies, fighting this, going through it, and you would have never known.
It was the one guy who, I forgot what the movie was that he was working on, and if I'm not mistaken, was it Black Panther? I don't remember, but it was his wife was on set with him and was pampering him, and he couldn't be without her. And the guy was like, the particular actor, and I forget his name, and he was doing an interview, and he said, I looked at him and was like, dang, you know, he's all like getting all this extra care as if nobody can touch him or be around him. Like, what's up with that? Know. And then he said, I hate that I even judged him in that way, not knowing what he was dealing with.
Just like you remember I think you called it out when people on social media, he went on Instagram Live just to talk. And people were so mean and so cruel because of his appearance. And he
like, you don't know what somebody's going through. You don't know. And for people, and they were making jokes comparing him to being on drugs. It was just really, you can tell when, and him just being him, not even discussing, wanting to live his life, not even discussing his visual changes. He just go into the interview as Chadwick Boseman, not as Chadwick Boseman who has a disease and things like that. He was going to these to work as Chadwick Boseman. So shouts out to him. Shouts out to his wife,
family,
and his family,
his kids, everybody,
and everyone. Yeah. Look, that's a lot. Now I think we should definitely go to break. It wasn't supposed to be like this. Okay, it wasn't supposed to be like this.
It wasn't, but hey, 2020, man. 2020 wasn't supposed to be like that, but here we are on the other side of it. Y'all,
2021 still in 2020.
2021 still feels like 2020. Honestly, it still feels like 100 years all in a couple of weeks here for this last couple of months because it's been wild. James, take us to break. We'll come back with more Like It or Not after this.
Good morning, people, again, and welcome to Like It or Not. I hope that y'all are enjoying the show thus far. Make sure that if you want to become a Patreon, make sure that you join patreon.com/the BPD show. Again, patreon.com/the BPD show. And while we're at it here, we might as well go ahead and do our first artist spotlight for the morning. So what we're going to do right now, who we have on the line to have them in my ear and I can't stand them. Oh my gosh. My brother dropped a bomb track last year, and with everything going on, I would be remiss if I didn't get his track played on the show. So without further ado, y'all, here it is. No More Mr. Nice Guy by Javante. Y'all check it out.
came up out the back screen swinging out. Said I'm I could bring the big bottles out. Here is Monte on the track, bet you didn't know that I had this talent, now it's time to let it show. I'm stepping out this booth, I'm hotter than a fucking match. I got a bag of sticky busters, switched down in the back, and I'ma pass it to the left, and you know what to do with that. I'm going up the gas, and if in the echo ass, yes, I done been through hell, and I done been back. Roll down my wave, and I'm finna start back. Made a couple mistakes, but it wasn't ones that I got the juice to make it skip, come back, right back. Up in this booth, I don't do nothing but attack. You seen the smile again, oh, you thought I was whack. Your name, with your friends, with your feelings, house. That can be a petty motherfucker, but I'm speaking straight facts. And I done gave my heart to so many, yeah. And I done done so much for so many, yeah. It's my time to reclaim, I'm ready, yeah. This music is everything I need, yeah. The second verse is from a fucking hater. I feel the hate in the last that you speak about me. I'm yourself, graciously, when you're trying to roll with me. If you can't be all you can be, I suggest you join the army. No, I've seen a lot of people hurt, and I've seen a lot of people make it out of words.
Shout out to everybody. I appreciate the love, y'all. Make sure that y'all dropping them lion heads in the chat, y'all. Drop them lines in the chat, y'all.
And now I'm blue a stack, roll down my wave, and I'm finna start back. Made a couple mistakes, but it wasn't ones that I got the juice to make you tips come back, right back. Hop in this booth, I don't do nothing but attack. You seen the smile again, oh, you thought I was whack. Look your name, look your friends, look your feelings, house. That can be a petty motherfucker, but I'm speaking straight facts. And now I gave my heart to so many, yeah. And I done done so much for so many, yeah. I'm done being Mr. Nice Guy. Mama, we about to eat, cause it's my time. I swear this is only the intro.
Got about 30, so that's cool, that's cool.
I swear this is only the intro.
Shout out to my brother Javante, man. That was a dope song. And coming up in a few minutes here, actually a couple of seconds, we have my brother Javante joining us right now as soon as we get him on the screen, y'all. Definitely want to talk about this track. Javante, what's going on, brother? Man, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm pretty good. Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you pretty good. Can you hear me?
All right.
All right, good. Man, dope song. I thank you so much for giving me that track, man. Loved it. Been feeling it for a while, so I really appreciate you, man. How's everything been going? I know that you're in Texas, so how's everything been going there? How was that for you?
Texas is pretty good, man. We had the snowstorms come about a week ago. Thankful to God I was able to have power and water and everything during the storms. So I actually wasn't one of the persons directly affected by it, but it was mad crazy. I tried to get to work a couple of days. The roads were shut down. Businesses were shutting early. So it was kind of a hassle getting everything that you needed because, of course, everyone was out. But I was good through all of it, and I thank God for that.
That's good. That's good to hear, man. Got to make sure my brother's good, y'all. I've been knowing Javante, y'all, for years, by the way, okay? Didn't know that this mother sucker could sing, so he surprised me, but I appreciate that. But, man, tell us about the song. What inspired the song, and how did it come about?
All right, so No More Mr. Nice Guy is actually the end of a story that I'm actually working on the EP for. No More Mr. Nice Guy is about the moment when you get to a place where you're kind of fed up. You've been dealing with a lot from people, work, stress, friends, etc. And it's that moment where you say, you know what, I have enough. It's kind of like that moment when you're about to, I guess, break or have an outburst. But for me, I put it into song. So I wrote that song in about 5 minutes. It was a day where I was just really fed up with a lot of stuff, and I just decided to put it on paper. And that's exactly where the inspiration came from.
That's dope, man. Especially you wrote that in 5 minutes. That's good stuff, man. I really appreciate that. So what you got coming up next? I know that you told me that you got something coming up soon, man. What you got next?
So I got actually a lot of things coming up. I'm just thankful to God and fortunate to even be able to say this at this moment in my career. My second single, My Everything, should be out in March. I had some technical difficulties with the storm here in Dallas, just trying to get it recorded and some studios not being open. So that is set to come out this month. In April, I have a performance at an artist spotlight in Orlando. You can find that information on my Instagram. I will be performing 2 songs there. And then in May, the EP actually should be dropping. I'm not going to give a date because I don't want anyone to be waiting, but in May, the EP should be dropping. And then in June, I have actually been nominated for an Independent Artist Award at the Edie Awards in Florida. So I actually have to attend that in June. So listen, man, God has definitely been good, and I'm just here for the ride.
You better speak on it, brother. He's in the blessing business this year, man. Even though it's a continuation of 2020, he's still in the blessing business, man. Javante, it's always good. A pleasure speaking with you, man. I greatly appreciate you. Now, make sure that you tell everybody how they can follow you and how they can download the song.
Okay, well, you can follow me on Instagram at Polo Connoisseur, and that's Polo_Connoisseur. My Facebook is Javante Arnold. My Twitter is at Polo Forever. You can go to DistroKid and find No More Mr. Nice Guy. It's everywhere. TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, Twitter. Yeah, I was going to say Indeed. Oh, my God.
I can't stand you. And it is on Apple Music. I got mine on Apple Music as well, too.
Spotify, all of the major streaming services.
And I must say also, y'all, that Javante is a graduate of Florida A&M University.
I am.
But it's okay. Yeah. Rebecca, the other coach, Rebecca Azor, she's also a graduate of Florida A&M. And Brother Ben is from Bethune-Cookman as well. So 2 Wildcats, 2 Rattlers. You know how it goes. It's always the challenge. You already know. But Javante, thank you so much, man, for joining us this morning, sir. We looking forward to your new music, and come back anytime. And when you get that music, man, send it my way, and I will get it played on the show, sir.
I definitely will. Thank you all for this opportunity. This means the world to me. You would never even know. So I just appreciate you guys, and I'm just so thankful and blessed for this opportunity.
Hey, man, definitely our pleasure, Javante. Y'all give it up for Javante, y'all. Y'all drop those lion heads in the chat, sir. Hey, we'll talk soon, man, all right? Thank you, Javante.
All right, y'all be easy. Have a great one.
All right, y'all. Give it up one more time for my brother Javante, y'all, man. Big things coming up. I told y'all 2021, it sucks, but we going to make sure that it's good. So until then, we'll be right back on the screen. Going to get y'all some of this copyright-free independent music. And shout out everybody in the chat room. I see y'all. Make sure that you are hitting that like button, share, comment, subscribe, and always make sure that you download the Like It or Not app. The Voice is my action sprout.
Makes us work. You seem like you want no one to see. With you behind closed doors is where I need to be. She's nothing like you.
And if you want to become a member or a subscriber, make sure you join Patreon. Patreon.com/the BPD show. Patreon.com/the BPD show, y'all.
Let me be your great escape. Show you to this higher life.
What you say?
I'll be a secret.
Y'all are crazy, man. I love y'all.
Freaking love y'all, dude.
We got Bubba Jakes in the morning, Bubba King live during the show. What's new? Like this one, you are multi-talented. I see why you came sharp.
I didn't even realize we're back on screen.
Somebody
been over here,
like,
A1, B2.
Right.
I did. Because I don't look at the camera. I mean, I look at the camera, but I don't look at us. I just look at the camera. And then I looked in the corner of my eye. I got the screens going on, and I saw myself on the screen. I'm like, oh, Lord, we back. But A1, B2, yes. Go ahead, James. That was a great interview, man. And shout out to Javante, man. He got a great spirit. And
wow,
just,
yes, I love it.
Yeah.
Out there in Texas too, making it happen.
Yeah,
Texas.
You know, and I forgot he was in Texas. I don't know why I thought he was still in Tallahassee, but I'm like, oh man, you've been in Texas this whole time.
Because people who go to FAMU usually just get stuck in Tallahassee.
Now, let me
They stay there, but nothing to do.
Let me tell you something. I will say, I cannot. You know, I'm somebody who's real. I'm somebody who's truthful. Okay. Now, Florida A&M people who do stick around, we call them locals, and a lot of them do stay around, but a lot of them have come up. Being local is not like it used to be. Like what Tallahassee looks like now. There are many opportunities when you do stay that you can literally jump on. I have to come back and get you. But people don't stay in Daytona because there's nothing there.
I mean, we stay in
nothing there.
Orange,
there's quite a bit.
The land.
There is nothing there. Not where the school is. Nothing there.
The school is like a mile away from the greatest beach in the country.
The greatest beach in the country, the lies.
Daytona Beach.
It is the greatest beach. The greatest beach in the world.
People literally stop going to Daytona. Like it's just nothing there.
No, you stop going to Daytona because you got too old to go.
Anywho, Javante is a graduate from the number one university in the nation, the number one HBCU in the world. And that's Florida. Thank you so much for.
Hey, Dwayne, can you mute Rebecca? Let me stop.
No, don't mute her. No, mute her. No, I'm joking. No, mute her. No, I want to get let's get a couple more political stories in here before our guests come in, because there's actually some really good news coming out of Illinois. Illinois became the first state to end cash bail. Governor J.B. Pritzker has signed into legislation that takes away the ability for judges to set bail of any type of crimes charged. The legislation makes way for, quote, safety, fairness, and justice within Illinois criminal justice system, according to the governor's office. The cash bail will not end until January 2023, giving officials time to get ready for the new system following the signing of the legislation. Governor Pritzker issued a statement saying, in part, quote, this legislation marks a substantial step toward dismantling the systemic racism that plagues our communities, our state, and our nation, and brings us closer to true safety, true fairness, and true justice. Speaking with Now This, Sharon Mitchell Jr., the director of the Illinois Justice Project, commented, quote, money will no longer be the main determining factor in whether someone will be in or out of jail. This story is this is important. And this is what I said earlier, like this needs to spread across the country because I think of all of the young Black men particularly, but people in general, young Black women, people of color, who literally are sitting in jail right now because they could not afford bail. And that has a reverberating effect in their lives, right? The impact. I'm thinking of Khalif Browder. I'm thinking about all of the people who literally have spent months, if not years, in jail awaiting trial simply because they did not have enough money to post bail. Meanwhile, we have white supremacists across this country who have actually killed people who are able to get out because they're able to start fundraisers and GoFundMes, and they get all kinds of money that get them out of jail. Meanwhile, someone who may have sold a dime bag, somebody who may have just whatever. Sometimes they didn't do anything. The police just simply said he resisted, and then they rot away in jail because they cannot afford sometimes $600, $1,000. And so this move by Governor Pritzker, I think is, and by the legislature there in Illinois, is something that I believe Rebecca and James it's got to replicate itself across the country, because this is one of the number one impediments for justice in this country. So if we can get rid of this state by state by state, there will be so many people who are able to handle themselves through this criminal justice system without having the burden of having a double penalty for not only being accosted because you're Black, but also being locked up for an inordinate amount of time because you're poor and you can't afford to pay this cash bill. So that's what I'm thinking. What y'all thinking?
You said it all, bro. Look, you said it all, brother.
You did, especially because it's so hard to once you get locked up and you're trying to bail out, you got to find somebody that has property or do all this extra stuff, man. And that's a lot, man. And it really sets us up as Black people to fail, to get locked up and to stay in there for the longest time. And because I remember If it hadn't been for my brother, a simple traffic stop with a suspended license years ago would have been in there for the longest time until we found somebody that actually owned their house. So I'm glad this is done. So this is a good thing. Good thing.
Look at that compounding. Go ahead, Rebecca. I mean, that's great. You had to find somebody who owned a house.
Yes.
Wow.
You had to find somebody with their first of all, Bubba, can you see us? My God.
Oh my God.
I just see me right now. And that's because I'm like, boy, it's hot as hell over here in this suit. I don't know how y'all do it. And I'm just like, Dwayne, go away. So, but okay. Yeah, go ahead, Rebecca.
And he kept you on screen so long. I'm like, I could tell my brother wouldn't wipe the sweat.
He's looking like, I can't see, man.
Sweat like drops of blood falling down from my brother's forehead.
But anywho, that's while Bubba gets himself together, Dwayne. It is something that you brought up that's very interesting, and not very interesting, but very
disturbing,
shocking. Like you had to find someone who owned their home, and that was going to be the deciding factor on if you got out of jail because a suspended license. That is ridiculous. Now, Ben, you, in the story, you said that this won't start until 2023, right?
Right.
We are in 2021.
That's a ways away.
And while this is a profound thing, this is monumental, we have to wait for it. And it's one of those things that we've discussed this with other laws that they said they wanted to pass or have passed or are going to pass, and the amount of time that we have to wait for it to pass. And that's just like, dang, why can't we? I wish that this could be implemented right now, because imagine from now to 2023,
somebody's gonna sit in there.
Oh, how many lives we could save, how much time that wouldn't be wasted, of people's time that wouldn't be wasted, and where you wouldn't feel like you're being reprimanded more for the fact that you don't have any money, for being poor and breaking the law. Like it's ridiculous.
Listen, I've had to bail out a couple of friends. And the process itself is a demoralizing process for everybody involved. And I'm thinking as I speak, and I look just like Rebecca.
Look, I'm like, am I talking? Because I was gonna start doing your voice, Ben. I was gonna start moving my lips and let you just stop. Because I was like this. Am I still on the screen here?
This is a dead ass serious story, but here we are.
I know, but it was just like
we're laughing for that. But I'm thinking about all my friends a couple friends that I've had to bail out in times past, and then James. But I never encountered the situation that you encountered, where you literally had to find someone who owned a home. Let's think about the layers here, right? The difficulty that you had finding someone who owned their home is itself a problem in this country, right? It is the fact that Black folks don't own nothing, right? And for us to find cousins or somebody, like we might have to go 2 generations away to find somebody who actually owns property. That is a problem of America's injustice system, right? That is a problem of America's original sin and all the things that are connected to redlining, Jim Crow, right? Those are the problems in this. And then, Rebecca, the other layer underneath what you just discussed, they would rather take 2 years to give the system time to adjust than to implement it right now and liberate the fellas who can't afford to pay bail.
Yeah.
So what does that tell us? It tells us that it's more important to this system to protect the system and give the system time to transition away from its bigotry than it is the lives of those boys who are in jail right now, those sisters who are in jail right now, right? So it is a monumental thing. But I appreciate you putting it in that perspective, because from that perspective, we still have to see that the priorities of the system is always to protect and preserve and take care of the system, even if it costs how many lives between now and 2023.
2023.
Hate to be Debbie Downer.
Yeah. No, I mean, no, it's, I mean, cute, right? I love it. Right. But why not today? Why not now?
Yeah, exactly.
Because in this time, just a lot of fathers, a lot of daughters, a lot of people, no matter who you are. But if you are without, and especially if you are Black, my God, you're going to have to be in the system. And then just to know that only 2 years that are going to, like 2 years from now, if I would have been stopped the way I was today, I may have been able to get through this easier instead of being in jail for a month or a year or whatever, because I didn't have the money and I couldn't call up anybody to get the money. I didn't have anyone to give me the money. It just, and now that started messing with your mental. Now that, see, it's like a whole
compounding.
Yes, because now I'm sitting in jail. Now I'm thinking about how I ain't got no family, how I ain't got no friends, how I ain't got nobody, I ain't got no money. It's just like so much that you're hit with. And all I did was go out, and I didn't know that my tail light was out. Stuff like that. So yeah.
And I'm thinking about, so also Sandra Bland, right? Sandra Bland didn't have the cash to get out on bail. And then she died in prison, right? And or in that jail. And then I'm thinking about like all the different ways that these vultures call police officers and lay in wait for the opportunity to pounce on us on these highways, whether it's a busted tail light, suspended license, all these different things. And then it compounds itself because we poor, man. We ain't got no money. And this system is set up. You think about Ferguson. Ferguson, they exposed the entire system where it is a predominantly black city and it was run predominantly by white people at the time. But they had a punitive system where the entire city was funded off of all of the fines and all of the tickets and all of the traffic stops that they concentrated in the black community. This is their way of extracting taxes out of black folks and poor folks, right? This is their way of extracting wealth out of us. It's right in line with Bank of America's overdraft fees, right? They have their ways of penalizing us for being poor. Right. And so now because you're poor, of course, when you get pulled over and you got some money, you could call your lawyer on the spot and that police officer is going to back down. Not us. Not most black people can't do that. And most poor people can't. Well, all poor people can't do that because I don't know many poor people with an attorney on their phone, on their speed dial. But the problem is, it's just this system is literally designed to extract everything out of us. We ain't got nothing.
Everything, every system, everything. You mentioned a bank, and I know that, you know, the frustration that comes with that. I know that I have voiced my frustration on Twitter with the bank, and it's funny because we call it the bank. The Bank of America is really called the bank. But they just to know that they abuse people when I am hit with for each. Not for just an overdraft fee for the overdraft, right? You're $11 overdraft because a few things came out. They will hit you with the $35 for each one. Each one. And I've been talking about it since March. I was banking with them and things like that. And I talked about it again a few days ago. And somebody was like, you know, why don't you just bank with someone else? Because locally, this is the only bank that's near me. But yes, I can go and I want to go and I will go to a credit union because I have been stripped. And once I can speak on more of it, I will.
I can speak on it. I can speak on it because they used to, man, look here. You ever pay? Yes, I know everybody has. You paid $35 for a value meal before.
Times 4.
Yep. You ever paid $35 for a cup of coffee? Yep. That's those overdraft fees. That's the bank. That's the Wells Fargo. That's all of them sit there just laying for an opportunity to just strip poor people of the few pennies that we got. And we still can't get no stimulus package. That's why I say leave them with the overdraft fees. Just go jump to the next bank.
I'm out of here.
Move quickly. Move before they close your account, because when they close your account, you're not gonna be able to open up another account. Let's see. I've been poor a long time, y'all. I know all the tricks.
Oh no. They changed the system now. They want you to be poor, and they'll let you open up another account to take more money from you.
Oh, they don't block you no more.
Oh no, they allow you to.
No. Feel free. They blocked me for 5 years one time. I couldn't open up a bank account for 5 years.
Back in the day, it was like that. But now they're like, oh no, sweetie, keep opening them up. Like you can do it here, there. And you business account.
Matter of fact, you want another one?
How many of y'all had to hide your face in the check cashing line because you couldn't go to the bank?
I couldn't go to the bank.
What kind of show do y'all have me on?
Look, the ghetto. Oh my God, y'all had to do that. Listen, sweetie.
I'm just saying. Like,
when I lived in New York, Baby, account was just because I told you guys when I first moved from Tallahassee, I was like, I'm going to New York. If I can make it here, I can make it anywhere. Like that, right? Moved to New York, broke.
Brought your ass right back down to the South, didn't you?
Broke, right. I was broke as hell. Was getting these checks, and my account was looking real strange, funny. So I was like, I cannot go and catch this. Thank God there were paper checks too. God, thank you.
Yeah.
Because it gave an opportunity to go get your cash and not have it in the bank, not let the bank eat it up. Oh yeah, it's a big thing. Oh, let's electronically get your, drop your money off in your account.
Yeah.
Listen, you didn't even know that you was overdrafted. You thought you had at least 3 cents in there to hold it down. Oh, nah, baby. They done waited until that day. They knew that Friday you woke up, they already hit that overdraft. They already put those fees in, and then they took your check. You thought you was going to pay your rent. Oh, my God, it's taking me back somewhere. I don't feel good about it. I don't even want to talk about it.
You don't even talk about it because it's going to take you.
As a 21-year-old girl with no money, and not understanding how the bank worked at the time, not understanding how the system was abusing us at the time, especially as a young woman trying to figure out her life. We were the targets. We were the prey. Yeah. They were looking for us and would offer us credit cards, no background. Just, you can get this to pay X, Y, and Z. You can get this to get a car. You can get this to no background, nothing. Would never. Now I think they're going to schools and trying to teach some stuff, but there was no background on anything. And you just thought, oh my God, I can get this to pay off, to get some books, to do this, to do that. Sweetie, after you get done with that card, listen, you can't do nothing under your name. You can't do nothing because you decided to get a $900 card. Now you owe them about $3,000. Now they sued you. I don't know whose story this is, but that was mine.
That's everybody's story. You know how many of those I got? Listen, people be thinking, people be thinking because we got little flashy cameras right now, and I got a couple viral videos that like, oh, but nah, y'all, listen, we came up the hard way, like for real, like you got to understand, it is. People need to realize that you too have come up the hard way, right? Unless you were literally born into a wealthy enough family to make mistakes. Because if you're a poor person and you make a financial mistake, like, I don't know, you could not afford the insurance on your car that month, you got pulled over, and then now you got a whole situation that's going to cost you about $1,000 to get out of. That one mistake puts you in a spiraling condition where it just takes you down, 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 down. We don't have the luxury to make financial mistakes in this vulturistic capitalistic system. But rich people, oh, what's that? You know, what is a $30,000 lawyer to help you get off of whatever you did?
Get that off your record. Now you got a record. You're not even a criminal. You just didn't have the money to pay that, but you needed to get to class. You needed to eat. You needed to get to work, and they pulled you over, and now you have this thing on your record. That's a story of mine too. My God.
Don't tell all your business today.
Look, I want people to know.
I hope the audience heard you, Dwayne, because they be thinking we crazy up here laughing. But no, the reason. But see, one thing I found out, and our second guest is going to come on the screen in a minute. But one thing I found out doing this political commentary and I guess social media influencer space is that people don't like to talk about these things. Because it's embarrassing, because we have an entire system that tells you that you have to be rich, that you have to look rich, that you got to, do it for the gram. You got to be on the yacht. Everybody is balling. That's why I don't want to get on Clubhouse no more, because everybody's just talking about how they're going to be an empire and build this. But I'm like, y'all lying. Y'all got overdraft fees like everybody else, man. Most of y'all be standing in the check cashing line. If we are honest about the oppression of this system, we got to first be honest with ourselves.
Yeah, because trust me, I want to be cute, look good, all of that stuff, and and I do. But we was poor. We have a story, and we have to share the story to put the system on blast. Go ahead, Ben.
But if we no, that's exactly it. No, that's exactly the point. If we do not tell our stories, then this system remains safe. The moment we start telling our stories, we start seeing that, it's not just me that dealt with those overdraft fees all that time. Every single time I got a check, no matter how hard I worked, no matter how much I watched my money. When I was a teacher, I stayed in the overdraft. And then when we investigated it, it's because that's literally how they make a $1 billion industry. Class action lawsuit with Bank of America, all those things came out. But this is what I'm saying. If we're too ashamed to talk about those things, then we're going to be looking at everybody like, oh, I'm the only poor one. No, I'm the only one with overdraft. No, you are just one of millions of people who are locked into a system that is designed to exploit you. And with that said, I want to introduce my brother from another mother, Anthony Clark. On Twitter, Anthony Clark describes himself as, quote, a teacher helping to fight to end capitalistic oppression. Couldn't be a better segue if I tried. Anthony Clark is a high school teacher in Illinois, a former member of the military, a veteran campaigner in Illinois politics, and he's currently running for village trustee of Oak Park. Anthony, first and foremost, man, it's good to see you. How are you, brother?
Man, I'm over here. Y'all testifying. Y'all was just preaching, so I'm feeling it, man. I'm thinking about all my overdraft fees, but I'm good.
Hey, man, I know you said something prolific. I know you said something dope. I know whatever you said was amazing. I didn't hear it, but I know the audience heard it. So,
man,
it was me too.
Y'all over here preaching for me. But, such a pleasure to be on. Thank you all so much, for all that y'all do. And I'm looking forward to chopping it up a little bit.
Yeah, man. So we just kind of stumbled into this conversation, and it's right in your purview, right? I see you discussing it on Twitter all the time. The realities of this capitalistic oppression, the realities of the fact that we're not outliers, right? The people who are struggling with overdraft fees, the people who are struggling to pay their rent, the people who are having to go out and be essential workers in the middle of a pandemic when the government really could have shut this down and put money in our hands, but they don't want to because they consider that socialism. This is what you talk about all the time. What are your thoughts on let's start all the way at the 30,000 foot level, man. What are your thoughts on that type of oppression in this country?
No question. I feel like the ultimate struggle is class struggle. We all have our identities. We all have our collective identities, which are extremely important. But, in my opinion, if we look at throughout history, racism, sexism, so on and so forth, they are tools utilized to maintain and justify capitalistic oppression. So when we fast forward to 2021, the issues that you are all talking about, it's by design. Because if we think about the stigmas and the perceptions that are attached to struggle, that are attached to being broke, it keeps individuals from being honest. It often keeps individuals, like you were saying, to be on social media, trying to front for the gram, trying to cap, as my students like to say, and present a lifestyle that, one, they cannot afford, two, is leading them to be further in debt, and three, is not realistic. So for someone like myself, I'm extremely honest and transparent. And, I don't know how much time we have, but I filed bankruptcy. I filed for bankruptcy. Completely open and transparent about that, because again, think about the stigma that is attached to debt, right? Think about the stigma that is attached to individuals filing for bankruptcy and how hard it is. And even our current president, roles that he's played in the past, preventing student debt from being addressed and eliminated through bankruptcy law. So I love to tell that truth, that it was the best decision I made, because I think one thing that isn't discussed often as a teacher, I started out after the military, making about $16,000 a year after taxes. Now, I'm finally in a teaching position to where I'm making six figures. Though I'm not an athlete, I think we need to talk more about how individuals in certain families, a family nucleus, when you make it or are perceived to make it, it's almost like being an athlete or entertainer, to where now you have all this pressure. I'm not a millionaire, but with a six-figure salary, I now have 3 or 4 family members that I'm helping out. I have 5 or 6 friends that are routinely and constantly reaching out to me for loans and so on and so forth. And then myself, I'm trying to cap, right? I got to have the nice car, the nice clothes, the jewelry. I'm stunting in the clubs. I'm at grocery stores pretending to call the bank when my card declines, having that conversation like, hold on, I know it's there. So we go through this, but the best decision I had was fighting against that stigma, fighting against those perceptions that exist, and being open about my financial journey, addressing financial literacy or lack thereof, and moving forward. And we got to talk about it. We can't be embarrassed to talk about these issues, No.
And I appreciate you framing it exactly the way you did, man, because there's the stigma attached to our oppression, right? And we got to think about where that stigma comes from. That stigma sometimes it is perpetuated by people in the same class structure, right? We do have a tendency to be like, oh, you struggling? And then we struggling ourselves. Like, oh, you ain't got this, and we got it from Rent-A-Center. You know what I mean? We do have a way of capping and stuttering, you know what I mean? But the overwhelming preponderance of this stigma comes from the glamorous life that is imposed on us through television, entertainment, internet, social media, Instagram, right? And then people aspire to that. And as they aspire to that, they either become depressed because they have absolutely no chance of getting that life, or they spend all their good coins trying to get to that life. Meanwhile, we can't even get this government to pass a $15 minimum wage. We're stuck at $7.25. And you tweeted about this the other day. You said, please, someone name a job that you believe is only worth $7.25 an hour. And the visual representation, I mean, people like think about a $5 bill, $2 bills, and a quarter. That's what this system is telling us, Anthony, is the value of people's labor for an entire hour. Speak on that for me.
I mean, it's a huge issue that exists at the federal level. And like you stated, I was thinking about that pot line. We got money for wars, but we don't have money to feed the poor. Meanwhile, we're begging for a $15 federal minimum wage when we know in reality, $15 is not even enough. We truly need a livable wage. 15 isn't enough, but we can't even get that. But meanwhile, we're bombing Syria. Meanwhile, we're still in a forever war. Meanwhile, we can't get a stimulus check that was supposed to be $2,000, but the math is funny. So now we're at $1,400, but still don't have it. So, I mean, we could go down this rabbit hole and continue. But again, it's by design because it's about profit margins at the end of the day. And no matter if your title is a Democrat or Republican, they're invested in profit margins. They're invested in providing socialism to corporations, while individuals, again, are chastised and judged for wanting greater help from the government. And I'll end it here. What's so treacherous about it is if we think about the civil rights movement and before desegregation, when we had thriving Black communities, rich socioeconomic communities like Tulsa, Oklahoma, so on and so forth, they were destroyed. They were literally bombed. Right. People were literally killed because we weren't reliant on that white dollar. They want us to be passive. We could go back to chattel slavery and the enslavement of Africans. They want us to stay prayed up, drunk, and broke. So that's why when you go into the hood, what do you see? You see churches, liquor stores, and these loan places. They want to keep you in debt because it's a new form or a continued form of enslavement.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to bring my colleague, Rebecca Zor, into the conversation. But before I do, I want to follow one last question with you as you were talking about your background in serving in the military, understanding the role of the military in this country and the global imperialism. But from your perspective, you tweeted out that you entered into a poverty draft, serving 6 years of active duty to survive. Talk about that specifically in terms of how the military is oftentimes a way out for poor people, but it's also exactly targeting poor people.
Definitely. I mean, it's a huge issue that exists. I was struggling. I moved to Atlanta after high school, and I just found myself in a financial bind and lost. I was looking for housing. I was looking for employment. I was looking for food. And I was at the point where I couldn't rely on my parents because even though they loved me and sacrificed everything, they were struggling themselves. So when we look at military recruitment, because we, of course, no longer have the draft, where do military individuals usually recruit? Where are recruiting stations and ROTCs usually set up? In the hood, in urban communities with lack of investment in their public school systems, because we know how property taxes are inequitable and lead to further oppression. But that's what it is. It's a poverty draft because the military dangles in front of you. If you join and you fight this rich person's war, we will provide you with housing. We will provide you with food. We will provide you with employment. And you could pay for your education in the future with the GI Bill. So that's what was dangled in front of me. And when I entered into the military, one, I found and learned how struggle is universal, because when we went to other countries and other territories, so on and so forth, you saw poverty. Struggle is a universal language. I may not have been able to understand them verbally, but I understood their poverty. I understood their struggle. But yet we use codes and we use titles to present them as enemies when they're simply trying to survive as well. These are not insurgents. These are not my enemies. These are individuals living within the struggle as well, doing what they need to do. And they look at us just as we look at them. One person's terrorist is another person's patriot. So the military was a huge wake-up call for me. I mean, and I'll end it here, but, I was a airplane mechanic. And the fact that we have to perpetually train, for war, and one tire one tire cost like $450. And we were on one plane, we were probably going through 3 to 4 tires per day. So we know where that money is going. We know why it's upmarked and so on and so forth. I mean, it's a hustle. It really is. And we're hustling on the backs of the people of this country. And the money that we spend on this military industrial complex could truly go to education, could truly go to infrastructure, could truly go to housing and food insecurity. But yet it does not.
Look, because that was a lot. I was just like, wow. This is just
pregnant pause.
It's just been a lot of what you said from the beginning of the conversation to now. It's a teachable moment. A lot of things you dropping are a gem. So what I ask to you is your position as an educator, right? And you get to you discuss these things. How is it that you're able to? Because it seems to other people that this may be radical, but I know that you say you still teach your students this. So how are you able to have these conversations, be clear about it, and not get any pushback? Not to say that you don't.
Right. No, 100%. And I feel like you all live this truth as well. And I think that when you are Black, because there are people of color, there are Black individuals. I like to separate it because, they try to, I think, marginalize us and push us into just people of color. But when you are Black and vocal, and I feel like there's always pushback. I mean, literally, I'm in my superintendent's office maybe once or twice a month based upon parents calling the school, trying to report me for various things that I'm doing in the community or various things that I'm sharing because they want you to be docile, right? They just want you to be quiet. Just be happy to be here. You're in a predominantly white space. You're making decent money. You should just be happy to be here. We're allowing you to be here. But when you push back at that, of course, it creates issues. So in my 12-year teaching career, I've been suspended twice with pay, thankfully, due to, union support. But I've been suspended for a total of 6 months in my teaching career based upon the last time I was suspended. They stated that I was radicalizing students and teaching students how to protest. So there's always pushback, but there's a saying that I have that when you rock the boat, you better be ready to swim and able to swim. And, I have to make that decision that I'm not going to be promoted. I'm never going to be a school administrator. I'm never going to be the one in leadership positions within a building, if that makes sense, due to my willingness to engage and push the envelope to further radicalize our students and get them to question everything, even what I share with them. I never position myself as, I always make I statements. So I never position myself to my students as, this is truth. These are my beliefs. I want you to research them for yourself and come back to me and tell me if you were able to debunk anything. And if you were not, what do you feel about what I shared with you, and make your own decisions. So there's always going to be pushback, but it's worth it at the end of the day, because what are we here for? Individual progress. I'm not interested in that. If we don't have collective movement and collective growth, what is the purpose? And I think we had that prior to desegregation, and that could be a topic for a whole nother, I'm sure, show. But once we desegregated, it seems like we lost that purpose in a sense. We lost that collective sense of pride to where we were moving forward as a Black community to strive for excellence. And now we're basically attaining and trying to aspire to what the white definition of success is, what the white definition of power and influence is. And of course, that's that false narrative of individualism within a capitalistic society, to where collectively the legacy of enslavement still benefits white folk and still impacts us negatively.
See, they done messed around. They done messed around and let a whole bunch of us get connected, because we all, man, you spitting some truth right there. Speaking of truth, you sitting in front of an image of one of the most powerful, prolific truth tellers in the history of this country, Chairman Fred Hampton. Tell us about that image behind you and your connection in terms of just the spiritual, the influence of Chairman on your life.
No, definitely. I idolize, Chairman Fred. He was 21 when he was murdered, by the Chicago police and by our local government. 21 years of age, and he was so far ahead of his time. And one thing that I realized, and again, this may be a little bit controversial, but I truly feel like those that were tapped into and truly addressing class issues, they're no longer here. They either had to leave the country or were murdered or were incarcerated.
I talk about that all the time.
So that's why, again, I'm just going to say it. That's why MLK is gone, but we still have a Al Sharpton or Jesse Jackson. I'm just keeping it 100. That's why Chairman Fred Hampton was murdered. But we still have, a Bobby Rush or someone else that's still here, still alive. Because when you're truly tapped into class warfare and class issues, you got to go. Because one thing that Chairman Fred Hampton was doing was with the Rainbow Coalition. He was uniting poor blacks with poor whites with poor Puerto Ricans. You can't marginalize a movement like that when you get a unified intersectional movement attacking class issues. So that's why I idolize him. I'm close with his family. His childhood home in Maywood, Illinois, which is not far from where I live. We help fundraise for it. I know his son, Chairman Fred Jr., who's, head of the Black Panther Party Cubs. His brother, late brother Bill Hampton, God rest his soul, provided me with an award. Even though I don't believe in individualism, it was still an honor to receive that award from him. So we're tied in and we're close. They're turning the home into a museum. But we have to learn from Chairman Fred and many of the issues, or all of them, that the Black Panther Party pushed. When we're talking about the food program, feeding children, feeding those that are in need, when we're talking about protection in our community, when we're talking about healthcare, these are issues that the Black Panther Party basically revolutionized and fought for. And for that, they were labeled communists. For that, they were labeled terrorists. Meanwhile, we see what true terrorism looks like when we have predominantly white folks storming the Capitol in the name of Donald Trump, not even policy, but in the name of Donald Trump, who represents white supremacy. So we have to talk about these issues. And, Chairman Fred, again, I'm going to follow in his footsteps. And I'm probably never going to get to the point where somebody wants to assassinate me or murder me. But as long as I could teach a little bit about his legacy and play a collaborative role in pushing for real change and educating our community, I'm happy.
Yeah. But they got a file on you, right? Though,
no question. No question.
Yeah. I was going to say,
you on the radar.
radical as you are. No, you're radical, honey. You're literally out here. You're speaking your truth, and you're speaking it with no F's given. And then you're in a space, it's the audacity of you, right? To be in a space that is predominantly white and
taking the white folks' money.
Be teaching people, kids, listen, this is what it's about. Listen, this is capitalism, this is racism, this is white supremacy, this is what needs to be done. This is history and this is the truth. The audacity of you and the audacity of you to get suspended, still pull back up like, no, I'm an educator. This is what I'm about to do. Y'all not going to take this from me. And I absolutely look at you.
You got tenure, brother?
Listen, that's what I'm saying. Yes, you need that.
Yes. I got tenure early because thankfully I'm good at what I do.
Good. So again, good. But it shows that when you are passionate about something, when you're driven about it, no one can take it from you, period. No matter what they're telling you that's wrong, you still know that this is my duty. This is my purpose. It has to be done. And I'm willing to take anything that comes my way and keep it pushing, and that's real because not everybody can stay in that moment. Like a lot of people give up because it gets so frustrating. This fight gets hard. I mean, it's a lot, but to see people who are willing to just go through take all the bullets. And
I love that you shared that because I think it's such an important component and aspect of movement, right? Of being an activist or an organizer, however you define yourself, because I think all of us will get to that point where we have to make a decision. Do we continue on our path, which is less popular, which would, lead to possibly loss of friendships, ostracization, I mispronounced that word, being considered, the audacity of me, which I've heard many times. Or do we diverge and start to become popular, right? Start to collect the money. Yeah. Nothing's wrong with getting paid because we all need to get paid for our skill set. But I think you all know what I mean in a sense. We all get to that road where we have to pick a lane in the sense of, do we continue to be dangerous or do we become less dangerous in a sense and more popular? And for me, it's just, at the end of the day, money is cool, but what is money? I have to be able to speak my truth or I won't be able to live with myself. And, the kids that I see that I'm impacting, not on my own, because this is a collective movement, but when they come to me and they have their own ideas or they're sharing out, we were talking about Cesar Chavez yesterday because we like to broaden, organizing and so on and so forth. And when they come to me and discuss collective bargaining, like I had a student and I'm a special education teacher. So already I'm sure that disproportionately my students are Black and brown because they're pushed into the special education system, oftentimes without a disability, but simply because predominantly white teachers, as Black males, were only 2% of the teaching population and Black women are far less than whites as well. they don't know how to work with our students, and they look at them as aggressive. They look at them as, problems in the classroom, when honestly they're bored. And I would be bored too if these white textbooks didn't present me with true factual history that celebrated my people. So, I mean, it's a huge issue that exists. And, I don't know. Again, at the end of the day, we'll see where I end up, and we'll go from there.
We got a couple of minutes here, but I want to actually go down that road particularly because one thing that I noticed in the school system, and I didn't last. Kudos to you for sticking it out through the school system itself, because just going through that process of coming from the bottom where they don't pay you anything and just sticking out all of the red tape that is associated with being a teacher, to me, it was never commensurate with my labor. I had to get the hell out of there. That said, what are your thoughts about the way special treatment is given, and rightfully so, to groups who need the special attention? I forgot the exact definition of it, designation of it. But when I was a teacher, I noticed one of the biggest challenges for my students that was never included in the IEPs and never included in those type of evaluations. The biggest challenge was poverty. And to me, it's like special accommodations. If any accommodation is going to be given to anybody in this school system, it most certainly should be to my students who did not have places to live, students who did not have clean clothes because they didn't have running water and they didn't have a washing machine and dryer. What has been your experience? Because you've toughed it out in that space for a while. And what are your thoughts on special accommodations for poverty?
Yeah, I mean, again, when we talk about equity issues, equity is not, if we have a pizza, equity is not everybody getting the same exact slice. There are going to be individuals that need more than one slice, and there are going to be individuals that need larger slices than others based upon the interconnected systemic issues that exist. And I think for me, the biggest issue that I've encountered is the lack of understanding and empathy and the bias that exists within our educational system, to where it's a business. Let's be honest. School systems are a business, and they're in the business of just, again, pushing education and making money from it. So when you have students that don't come to school, you have teachers that don't have that perspective or understanding that it may just simply be beyond that student doesn't want to learn, because the majority of our students, all of our students truly want to learn, but they need someone that's willing to teach them, that understands their truth. So I understand a student may not wanting to come to school because their clothes are dirty. I understand a student maybe not wanting to come to school because they had nowhere to sleep last night. So they were on the street, on the block, and they're tired, or they have younger siblings they have to take care of, or their hair. I mean, look at my line, and my line is not perfect right now, but their hair, because it plays a role in society. So we have teachers that lack that understanding. And it is even so nuanced in the sense to where how, and I don't want to overgeneralize, but how Black folk communicate, like I'm handsy, right? We're verbal. We like to move around a little bit. We like MCs, right? We in a booth, we freestyle when we communicate. And for me, it's just normal communication. But I've literally seen students pushed into special ed or pushed into our disciplinary processes based upon how they communicate, because there's a white teacher that feels this student is too aggressive, or they don't understand that modality of communication. So disproportionately, I'm in a school system that is 63% white, about 18% Black, but I'm sure you could guess who disproportionately is fed into our disciplinary systems, who disproportionately receives suspensions. And I also want to shout out Royal. They're a Black and brown led student organization who mobilized. I've worked with them in the past. They were able to get SROs, school resource officers, out of our school building. So I truly want to salute them and give them a shout out, because adults have failed our youth. Our youth are now leading. They're not future leaders. They're current leaders. And we have to sometimes take a back seat and listen to them. So it's about empowering students that are looked at and viewed as you're going to be nothing more than an athlete, a thug, or a rapper. These are leaders. These could be future politicians. These are current leaders. So that's that dynamic that exists. And overall, that's just what I wanted to say. Because we lack diversity within our teaching force, we lack teachers that understand different truths, that have never necessarily struggled, that have never had overdraft fees, that don't know what it means to have your mama or your cousin or your auntie, 8 people living in a crib together. So we got to speak that, we got to talk that truth. And when I do that, my students are able to connect with me, and they see representation of themselves that, damn, excuse my language, but if he could make it, in a sense, there's nothing I can't do, and I think that's important.
Brother Anthony Clark, speaking truth to power, fearlessly speaking truth to power. Brother, you're welcome back anytime you have time. Thanks so much for joining.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you all for all that you do, and I'll be back.
Absolutely. James, take us to a break. We'll be back with more Like It or Not after this.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much again, Anthony Clark. Greatly appreciate you. Awesome interview, y'all. Make sure I did. Hey, man. I don't know how y'all sit in them suits all day, because, boy, in this hot light, man, I felt like I was the pastor in church. But shout out again to everybody. Anthony Clark for joining us as well today, too. Make sure that if you want to support the show and become a sponsor or a patron, get on patreon.com/the BPD show. Again, patreon.com/the BPD show, and support the show, become a patron, and get ad-free exclusive content, y'all. Let's get into some of this music.
TT, that's me. TT, that's me. TT, that's me. TT, You wear a hat, they call dad. Me, I'm the dad in a hat. You just like clubbing and clothes. Me, I like afternoon naps. 3, I be missed for the road. My oldest like counting racks. My middle one, she's in a dirt bike. My youngest is just like a mama. The mama loves me and I love her, so if she wants something, it's never about her. 3 little ladies, my babies, and 1 on the way. Now I'm stressing my mama. And don't try to play around, don't try to play with them unless you're looking for problems. So don't try to play around, don't try to play with them. My brother's out with the drama. 4 to 5 nights on the road. Counting days till I'm home. I could do show after show, but nothing is better than home. Driving through nights I'm alone. Counting days till I'm home. I've been on road, I'm on go, but nothing is better than home.
Shout out to everybody that's in the chat room. Seven Sweetheart said I got me changing more than the Oscars. I know. I had to do a wardrobe change on y'all. You know.
Shipping a pop, I pop. Still young in my 20s, I celebrate. This one for the desert.
See a message, son. Look.
Headed to the house like I had to stay. Bring home the cash in the dinner place. I go.
Shout out to Mama. Good morning, Mama. I ain't had a chance to talk to you. Good morning, Mama.
I stay in the crib like a quarantine. I stay in the crib and I isolate. Making my way, watching demonstrate. I ain't no special, my tidal wave. I came to win, I ain't gonna play. At my own pace and I'm never late. See the strap.
You don't mean nothing to me.
Priscilla, good morning. Shout out to the Lions Den, y'all. That's taking us out. I just thought of it. I'm like, wait a minute. I ain't seen the Lions Den in so long. Hi, Lions Den. Love you guys. Shout out to the Pride as well, too. In that age, you know I ain't got no sense.
You're nothing more than silverware.
Nicole, good morning, Nikki.
But I was unaware.
Right.
Walk around like everything belongs to you. Talk to me like I'm the young stupid fool.
All right, so all right.
Take off all your clothes. You're nothing more than silverware. Why you calling me honey? Why you show off your money? Wave it like it's a tissue. Baby, this is your issue. I'm not falling for bullshit. If you like me, then say it. You don't get that I see through this facade that surrounds you. But when it takes time,
Sydney, what's going on? That M, hey, how you doing?
Letting go.
Huh?
You're nothing more than silver.
All right, y'all, welcome back to the screen, Rebecca and Ben, y'all.
It's always my backup when it comes to stuff like that.
Listen, first and foremost, we were laughing because James was like, I got to go get out this blazer.
He was dying. He's like, I'm not about to be disrespected in my own home, be sweating and dying in my own home. No.
And then the camera stayed on him. He couldn't even wipe the sweat off his brow.
He started to lean on that chair like this, y'all. I can't even see y'all. Like I'm dying.
Like, okay.
Hey, shout out to Anthony Clark, man. That brother is fire.
Yeah, man. That was a dope interview, Ben. Yeah. Dope interview, y'all. Dope.
That dude has tons and tons of wisdom, and You know, that's all I'll say, Rebecca. I won't say anything else about it.
No, wisdom is good. This is the problem. See, being a female on the show, right? Every time. And Ben has done this to me since the days of Like It or Not. Any male that comes on the show, he will be like, what'd you think about that?
Especially when they brilliant brothers. When they brilliant brothers, I'll be like, hey, did you follow him? Make sure you follow him. That's what
yes,
your DMs
he's brilliant.
are for,
And he's a gem. And that was wonderful. The information that he gave was great. And I loved it. And I love to see Black men who are educators and powerful in their conversation and can definitely break down. That is beautiful. And to any woman, that would be attractive. But Ben is always, it doesn't matter who it is. Ben, it doesn't matter who the person is. Ben will always be like, so what'd you think about that, Ben?
Because I knew the pandemic was coming.
Yeah,
I didn't want you to.
Uncle trying to hook you up with everybody.
I didn't want you to.
Not that, Ben.
Ben be like, hey, young man, have you? I
want you to come meet this young lady I know over here. She's intelligent.
It's literally like that for real. And I'm just like, yo,
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that for Bubba. I do that for everybody around me. Everybody.
Listen, no, Ben, I don't even be on that though. Mine don't even be there. But Ben be like, did you see it? Did you not? And I'm like, sir.
Okay, listen, you flexing a little too hard because you show was in our Slack channel. Like, oh my God, now, come on now.
No, I was like, oh my gosh, he's dropping gems. Yes, he's dropping gems. If it was a woman,
that brother was dropping some. I don't know how he gets away with it, and that's he's tenured. Shout out for tenureship. It's good. It's good for something. Otherwise, man, those white folks would have fired him a long time ago talking like that in those classrooms.
That's why I was like, dang, he's still on. How is he still working for he's doing something right?
Hey, I never forget, and I'll let you. Go ahead, James.
I was just gonna say I was gonna chat her. I was about to text her while I was doing the interview, but I'm like, let me behave. Let me just go ahead and watch it.
I'm not crazy. Listen, y'all can't listen. I've been around this block for a long time. I ain't foolish now. But I will say this. I ain't blind. I will say this. I would never forget my first year teaching 6th grade world history. I got called into the principal's office about, and I all I did was taught history. Like I wasn't talking my socialism stuff back then. And he literally called me into the office trying to make sure that I wouldn't. And I'm like, wow. I hadn't. I guess maybe he just saw, I'm a black man and I guess he just figured that it was in me. It was. You let me in those students' classroom any longer and I would have made them all communists. But that said, I hadn't said nothing and I got called to the principal's office about what I teach. And so shout out to him for being able to endure all those years of speaking truth to power and navigating these twisted education systems. So
I have a girlfriend that actually works in the education system. I'm not going to put her name out there because I don't want, but she definitely makes sure that she doesn't play when she does her Black History moments or when it's time to celebrate a particular person or her what do they call those? The list where you go down what you're going to be teaching for the year.
Oh, the lesson plans.
The lesson plans. Yeah. She shares it with us on her social media. And we'd be like, girl, you really want to go there? She's like, oh, I'm going there. I've already been to the office how many times this year alone. People are calling me to have meetings, parents, because they're concerned with the fact that I talked about HBCUs to their white kids. Or to the fact that and she's a Florida A&M grad, by the way. So she has audacity naturally. It's in her. And she's Haitian. But just to hear her in the Chicago school systems having to always go up against Miss Sarah in this classroom or on this side of the building, who's always going to the office and reporting her and saying, are you guys going to allow her to teach about this all the time? And she's always posting like, yes, I just made such and such teacher, the teacher of X, Y, and Z mad, and I'm still going to keep doing it. So yeah, in these spaces, why is it that we do have to do more? But we do have to do more, and
10 times as much.
10 times as more, and it's the fact of the matter. I absolutely hate it, but when we do more, don't worry, because we're gonna have all the audacity in the world. Yeah. We're gonna sprinkle a little bit of HBCU on it too, and you're gonna be real mad, right? We're gonna make it really Black.
Shout out to everybody in the chat room reminding us that Dr. West, Cornel West, the Cornel West, Harvard University, having issues with tenure. Yeah. Right. Because of simply because of who he is. They out their damn minds. Like,
and he was like, I'm going to leave the school because like, and people were like, why is he doing that when that's just tenure, whatever? No, he shouldn't even have to ask for it. They should be giving it
automatic,
to him, period. And nobody should be upset with his decision to leave because I mean, at the end of the day, this is Dr. Cornel West. We ain't talking about, and not to say, but we ain't talking about somebody that just came yesterday, like these white teachers that just come out of nowhere, been in the game not too long, and then they're tenured.
This is the second time he's going through this. This is not the first time. And check this out. Not only do they just pop up, but they pop up and then they out there talking about racial justice, and they're out there talking about white supremacy, and they're out there talking about all the stuff that we talk about. But when we talk about it, they kill us. They excommunicate us. They exile us. They fire us. They won't tenure us.
They blacklist you from every
They blacklist
school.
us. Exactly. So it's just funny how that works. But anyway, go ahead, Rebecca. What else you got?
I mean, I don't know what coming out. No, I'm just kidding. There is a lot when it comes to us being blacklisted in places like schools. And let's talk about internships. I know that back then when we were younger, right, we wanted to take internships. We thought it was okay to take unpaid internships. And this was a conversation that happened on Twitter that's been making its rounds. So on Monday, NFL Network reporter Jane Slater tweeted out an application for an unpaid internship, which she was hoping would solicit plenty of responses. She was hoping to generate interns who would help the NFL with reporting. So instead of positive responses, she was greeted with a torrent of tweets pointing out the obvious that unpaid internships are exploit. Look, why can't I get the word exploitative? Exploitative, and only those with privilege can afford to work for free. She did not take this well, right? So now she went and responded to the feedback of all those tweets, and she said, I posted an opportunity for an unpaid internship, and I'm amazed by the comments I get. It's not even for me. It's for someone else, and I would have jumped at it in college. Let's hold right there. No,
because she could afford
to. I'm going to keep reading, and I'm going to get back to it. I had 3 unpaid internships, she said, in school, double majored, and had a job. Shaking my head. So Ms. Slater went on to say that she financially supported herself while she worked her unpaid internships. However, she failed to divulge that her grandfather, who was the president of a multi-million-dollar company, was also helping her financially during this period. Luckily, Twitter user Fox Force Flacco brought up the receipts, which came in the form of an answer she gave during an interview 6 years ago. The tweet said, did you miss the part where your grandfather supported you financially in college? Double major has nothing to do with whether or not you can afford to live while working an unpaid internship. So here's my thing with that. Okay? Because it's always a thing. Here's my internship horror story. I really thought that having internships, because what they told us, right? You work for free. You got to make sure you're doing this free work and getting the experience and things like that. And it's like, yo, I literally went through my whole high school doing TV news. I should be able to come to school, get a better education. We're here at Florida A&M University. And when I go internship at this local radio station, at the local news station, I should be getting paid. We're already like the brokest people in town, right? And I think I did like 5 internships. I did it for, E-News or Entertainment Tonight, that was. I did it for the local news station. I did it for a radio station. I did it for Universal. I did so many internships. And people would be like, how are you qualified? I've done all this work, but those only were internships. This is when I came out of school. And when I worked for the local news station in Tallahassee, there was and I'm going to say their names. There was a
don't say their legal name now.
Reporter named Art. There was an anchor named Art.
There we go.
I don't know if he's still there. But I would do the work for him. He didn't know how, because in that time, social media was coming into play a little bit. So they started to utilize that. It wasn't old school the way it used to be, and just get reading off of a paper or reading off the prompter. We would have to get like some of the news, compile it up, bring it down to 3 sentences so that he could read or whatever. He didn't know how to get on and go through the internet. and he didn't want to change, y'all. Now imagine, he didn't want to change. He was an older man. And of course, in that time, even now, local television news was like literally, they don't change anchors unless like the person literally dies or moves on to another news station, which sucks. So you're over here doing all the good, new, innovative work and you're not getting paid for it. I would have to edit. This is not stuff that I learned there at the internship. I learned this before I even got to college. The simple editing he didn't know how to do for his stories. I would have to edit for his stories, write the news articles for his stories, listen to the police thing every morning to see if we can grab a story of a car accident or something like that. Every single morning, prep them for what interviews were to come during my internship. That's a whole damn job. On top of that, working for our university news channel where we would have to go out, we call it one-man bands, have a little sack with our cameras in it with the tripod. I had a permanent black mark on my shoulder carrying that, going to go interview people, at the house and going to different restaurants and putting myself in positions where people would be like, get off my property. And then going back to the school, editing that out and putting it on for news. Local news would actually take my stuff and play it on their stuff. And you telling me I'm not going to get paid?
Yep.
I'm not getting paid. So, ma'am, when you put that out there, sweetheart, especially when you had help, I didn't have help. My parents didn't even know what that was about when it came to internships and stuff. They didn't understand. They didn't know. They thought I was getting paid from that stuff, and I wasn't. But for you to say that, back then you would have jumped on the opportunity, I would have too, because that's what I was taught. But then when I realized I'm doing free work on my third internship, I'm not going to work for free. I have the experience down in my soul. This is what I do, and I'm doing it for free. No, I'm sorry. That doesn't make me stronger. It's killing me. And it's not the what don't kill me. This is killing me. It doesn't make me stronger. I'm hungry. My bills are due, but I'm here working for free. Sis, no.
That's a good sound. You're talking in the past tense. You were there working there for free.
Yes. Not here. Look, not here. Right. I'm not hungry.
Because nobody worked. Listen, I stopped that a long time before I even got into this space. Pay people. If you can't afford to pay them, then what do you try? I mean, what are we doing here? We're talking about the NFL. Mm-hmm. First of all, let's go to the damn shame.
No, but you should be happy you work for the NFL.
Well, okay, yeah, and this is what they do. That's how they exploit you, right? Yes. But those, how many of those internships don't turn into anything but just to say you did it and you gave them free labor? This is free labor. This is indentured servitude. This is, I mean, seriously, like this is what they get away with, and they're a multi-billion-dollar company. I mean, they got $7 million for a commercial during the Super Bowl, and they trying to pay people free. And now this sister talking about she would have jumped on. Of course, you could have, because she probably don't even know what it's like to be in the overdraft. She probably doesn't know what it's like to be able to call your parents, and your parents can't help you because they didn't got nothing in the bank. And then she probably don't even know what it's like to actually go sit in a line and look for a job, because her granddaddy was rich and was able to get her and put her up on a job. So this is a totally different experience in this country. And I'm glad it went down like it went down, because it needs to be exposed over and over and over again. All of these multi-million-dollar, multi-billion-dollar companies out here exploiting your children for labor, for free labor in the guise of internships. And then all of a sudden, you're somewhere in between going to get coffee for somebody who's lazy and don't want to walk themselves, all the way to you, Rebecca, where you were developing the entire story, doing the entire breadth and depth of the research, packaging it up, editing it, and delivering it to somebody who just sat there and just took credit for your work on air while you weren't getting paid. Shame on this entire system.
And you know what needs to change, though? You got to start changing it at the education system, because y'all make us do these internships that don't mean anything. My internship was an internship at Disney World. My major in college was culinary, cooking. And I went to Disney World. I was operating rides. I was a skipper on the Jungle Cruise.
Talk about it. And they think that's
a latch carpet, man. And then, oh my gosh. So They were paying us like $7.50 an hour, and we had to pay for our own food, and we had to pay for somewhere to stay during the internship.
Because you should be happy. It's Disney World. Yeah, you should have been happy.
Yeah.
It was Disney World.
Supposed to be happy.
You applied for the culinary position, but they call you back and be like, yes, we've accepted you for an internship at Disney World. And you're so freaking excited thinking that you're about to, go and be near that, that thing that you want to work for. They put you over there to go clean toilets. Not for you, but that was my story one time too. They put you over there to go do those things and they say that you're near it. So that's just enough. Y'all, let me talk about this internship. Okay, while we get our next guest together.
Right.
Let's talk about this internship that I had. I worked when I was in New York. I worked for a few things. I did the fashion show stuff, and that's when I was really working in fashion as a fashion journalist. I was trying to get into that. And I had worked for a woman who for actually a TV show. And it was called Blood, Sweat, and Heels. And I worked for one of the women on the show. And we had this whole FAMU group where we were writing each other. And they were like, Rebecca, you might be good for this internship. And I thought it was going to, listen, guys, I thought it was going to be paid. Because then I was like, yes, my first paid internship, I'm going to get this done. I'm working on this show for Bravo. It's going to be great. Get with this woman, and she was an HBCU grad. She was in a sorority. She just she worked with a lot of people. She lived in the same building. I used to see Don Lemon every day, skateboarding with the mohawk, y'all. I don't know how y'all never seen that, but yeah, I used to see him every day. He lived
Don
right
Lemon
across
with
the
a mohawk.
Yes, and
I'm Googling right now.
Across the way. There was so many great people that lived in that building that worked on the news. So, I'm with her and I'm just thinking, oh my God, this is going to be great. I'm going to get to write for her and help her with the production and stuff like that. I helped her with a lot of things, and some of those things being her events and things like that. I did a lot. And she spoke to me like, she's like, I'm going to be a big sister to you. Working with her around that time, guys, this was supposed to be like a great moment. She told me, I'm going to pay you because you should be paid. You shouldn't be working the way you do with your experience.
Sounds good.
And it's funny because when you don't understand, when some of these people are in these spaces, they start using their white supremacy or their supremacy in that space. Because I would go out with her and I would be dressed to the nines, just trying to impress her and be like right there by her side, like, wow. To the point where she's like, don't wear that when you come back. Don't wear that when you come back. And when you go, you need to go pick up my clothes. Now this was the role now. Now she changed my role. You need to go pick up my clothes for the show. Why do you have that red lipstick on? Go take it off because I'm wearing red lipstick. You cannot be wearing red lipstick. Can you get under my sink?
And that was an internship?
This was supposed to be a paid internship where I'm doing work for, journalism work with this woman. Who was a journalist as well. Can you, and mind you guys, I'm in New York. I told you, if I could make it here, I can make it anywhere. I'm over here trying to, I went there. I never forget, I got dressed. I went there to help her, get dressed for the show. She threw the things that I purchased at my feet, threw a fit on camera. And then off camera, she threw the fit, disrespected me, belittled me. I said, this is the last day. She decided not to pay me a dime. And I took so much from her. She decided not to pay me a dime. Wow. And that, it sucked. And the thing is, all the things that I bought her that she threw at my feet and threw a fit at me about, all those things that I bought her, she wore on the show.
Wow. Moral of the story. Don't do free internships. Make them pay you up front.
Get paid up front. Don't do free internships, and don't let these people disrespect you, and don't let them think that just because they have and you don't, like you're smaller. You're smaller than them, because some of them will envy you because of your knowledge, because you're younger and you have knowledge. They don't want to be. I was willing to be taught by her, but she wasn't open to letting me teach her. At all, the new ways of journalism, and that's what sucked. It was like, girl, if you don't get out of here, like whatever. And she disrespected me, belittled me, and envied my just me and my knowledge. And shoot, I'm good too, but I didn't know that, and I had to learn that.
Where is she now, Rebecca?
Listen, so she was working on the show, ended up looking crazy on that show, getting into fights, and don't know where she is now.
Nowhere to be
Look at me.
found. God don't like ugly. God don't like. Look at Rebecca. Look at Rebecca Rocket. Hey, listen, folks. We have one last guest this morning, and I want to jump straight into that interview with the time that we have left. I am ecstatic to bring to the screen another dynamic brother by the name of Isiah James. He's a community organizer, activist, Army combat veteran, and candidate for Brooklyn's 9th congressional district. Brother Isiah, how are you today? Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. We've been trying to make this work for a while, so I'm glad to be here.
No, the pleasure is mine, man. And one of the reasons I wanted to get you on is because of your tenacity. You have not stopped your fight for justice, your fight to get into leadership, to take that fight for justice to the halls of power. Tell us a little bit about that fight and what you're working on right now, specifically as it pertains to justice and speaking truth to power.
Well, that fight is the most important one. It's the one we've been fighting, as Black people, as working people, as poor people since this country's been founded. It's the fight that it seems like every generation has to get in that fight. It's the fight that my father fought when he came here from Jamaica in the 70s. It's the fight that my grandmother fought when she left Pascagoula, Mississippi in the 60s after Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. It's the fight my mother fought when she helped raise, with my father, 11 children with no money, and they somehow made all of us productive citizens. That's the fight that we're fighting now. And it seems like it's getting more exacerbated because the gap between the rich and the poor is going more and more and more. So that's the fight, the generational fight. What I'm working on right now is getting this campaign off the ground for a second time. I mean, the first time we ran, we got punched in the face by coronavirus. And let me stop real quick, just to let everybody know. My wife is a public school teacher here in New York City. She's been working from home since the pandemic. I know people want to ask, why all those sight words? My wife teaches first grade and kindergarten. And our living room, where I'm sitting at right now, is literally her virtual classroom. So if I give you the tour of the classroom, you got all words, and don't forget to put the cap up on the marker. And
Oh, man. So I thought you were literally in a classroom, in a school building.
She did her
in his background, like, let me get this out the way.
Because people are going to be like, why is stuff behind you? So let me get that out of the way and let y'all know. My wife is a public school teacher, so that's why it looks like that. But as I was saying, I'm trying to get this campaign off the ground. I mean, the times that we're living in now demand it. I mean, it's not time to hope and pray and wish anymore. We got to be audacious. We got to demand that our government does what it purports to do. I mean, what do we lose by fighting for people that are poor or working class or LGBTQ or Black or Native American or Indigenous or Hispanic? Like, we don't lose anything by standing up and fighting for those people. So we damn well better get in the fight.
I hear that. I want to read a tweet that you sent out the other day that I think contextualizes this. I got a couple of good ones here too. This one says, when we talk about lifting millions out of poverty, let us not forget, especially during Black History Month, that America still has not atoned for her original sin. And you said, and that we must continue to fight to make right the wrongs of the past. # reparations, # Black Lives Matter, # ADOS, never forget. And then there was a clip attached to it where you were on with my friend, the Humanist Report. I want to play that clip really quickly and then discuss in context about everything else. Let's take a look at that clip.
Somebody saying no.
Oh, we don't have that clip. Okay.
Oh, we don't
have that clip. We don't need the clip.
Say no. He heard you say no.
How did he say no? We don't need the video yet. Let me know when you have it. But talk about that, man, because even in your race, right? Like when you start talking about reparations, right? You some of these so-called good-meaning, well-meaning Democrats and liberals, they start being the first people to jump off the ship, right? And and looking at your fight for this position and fight for justice in general, like, how do you balance that? Because I know you get nonstop pushback when you're speaking about reparations so firmly like that.
Oh, of course I do, because people who empower automatically think that they're going to lose something because they know they took so much from so many and concentrated it in the hands of so few. You look at the word that I use in my tweet, atone. If you look up the word atone, it says to make amends, to repair. Reparations. Reparations means to repair. If folks want to Google, they can go back and look up Field Order number 15, which was issued by General Tecumseh Sherman when he was fighting against the South during the Civil War. And it was to give those freed slaves 40 acres and a mule to till that land. Economists have done the math. If they were to pay Black descendants of slaves in this country, it would be over $70 trillion with interest. So reparations is not a check. It can't be a check because the GDP of the world can't pay every Black person a check. To me, what reparations means is America has to have some skin in the game and has to buttress her Black community, which it has disparaged for 400 years. That means more money for HBCUs. That means after school and job programs in that community. That means housing programs for folks who have been redlined and kept out of the economic ladders of opportunity of home owning. That means ending this damn disastrous war on drugs. That means legalizing marijuana and letting everybody out who has a nonviolent drug conviction and stripping their records of felonies. It means actually doing something to buttress the Black community, because every time Black people have tried to stand up for themselves in this country, you can look at Tulsa, you can look at the race riots, white America has pushed them down. And we're saying that it is far past time that America actually does what she says she purports to be, the land of equality and freedom, but it is not so. So we have seen for 400 years, we're told never forget the Holocaust, which we shouldn't. We're told never forget 9/11, which we shouldn't. We're told never forget December 7th when they attacked Pearl Harbor, which we shouldn't. Black people have been living a 400-year Holocaust in this country since the beginning, since 1619, when those 16 slaves landed in Jamestown, Virginia. And it seems like everybody has forgotten about that. When you have the crime bill, which took a generation of Black men and put them in jail and destroyed the nuclear family, now you see what the hell we're talking about. When you have the 1033 program, which allows military equipment to come into our communities and hold Black people siege and hostage, now you see what we're talking about. When you have over 2.5 million people sitting in goddamn for-profit prisons, now you understand what we are talking about. America is a homeless person with a Gucci belt on. She is not all she's cracked up to be. So it's up to us. Like I said, every generation has to get in this fight. We have to make right the wrongs, because I'll be damned if my children or my grandchildren are going to have to take up the same fight that my father fought 50 years ago when he came here and he couldn't even go to Queens because he had a funny accent to them out there.
This is, Isiah, listen, why would you come on here and drop all of that? Look, the show is over. The show is over. We don't have time for you to come and bring all of that on the show. That was a lot.
I gave you an answer.
Where am I about to look? Where do I sign up? Where is this? When is this vote happening? I don't even live in New York. This is a lot. Listen, okay? You said a lot of things.
FAMU. My sister went to FAMU Law.
Oh yeah, look. Don't start.
Hey man, hey, bro. You listen, Dwayne. Thank you for coming and cut that man off. No,
there is Isiah. There is a clip that we want to definitely play if we have that up now, so we can discuss it before we do get out of here, because I know in this clip as well there are a lot of things for us to unpack. Dwayne,
it's an economic issue. It's a legal issue. It's an issue that I feel like everyone who's on the left, who's progressive, who's radical, should be on board with, no questions asked.
It's Black History Month, right? Every Black representative in Congress should have been beating the drums about reparations this month. You want to talk about Black history and our contribution to this country, to American history? Well, let's talk about making right the wrongs of the last 400 years. Let's talk about that. The White House that Joe Biden is now in, when it was burnt down by the British, it was rebuilt by Black slaves in this country. They rebuilt the seat of power in this damn country. And nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to talk about making right the wrongs, making generations whole. Generational wealth wasn't just kept from us, it was stolen from us. Our language, our heritage, our culture, our religion, even our identity was taken from us. And then you leave us to fend for ourselves. You make everything we do a crime with the Black codes, first of all, with Jim Crow slavery, with the war on drugs, with the crime bill, and you don't see the harm that you have caused.
We did do that.
We talk every year about 9/11, how we should never forget it. We talk about the Holocaust and how we should never forget it. Black people had a 400-year Holocaust in this country, and it seems like everybody has forgotten it, except those of people like me or you who have time to think about it. And we have never been made whole from this. Communities were destroyed by Joseph R. Biden. That's why I wrote in Bernie Sanders. He gave us the crime bill, which was Ronald Reagan was Reagan's war on drugs and Nixon's war on drugs cranked up to 11. That's what made the mandatory minimums. That's what made the harsher sentences for crack. That's what literally took fathers out of homes and destroyed families, destroyed the nuclear family that Republicans love to talk about. The black people don't have a nuclear family. Well, why is that? Because a generation of men, an entire generation, were put in jail and left to rot like grapes on the vine. And America needs to atone for her sins. And we can do that with government if we have people in government who actually want to do that.
Isaiah, you can't be going on people's show and just shutting it down. The man was sitting there like, okay,
I'm just speaking the truth. I'm just talking the truth. Talking about Cornel West. I ain't had a haircut in a minute. I'm starting to look like Cornel West. And he's one of my personal heroes. And that man don't mince words. I mean, listen, I've been shot. I've been blown up by IEDs. I'm a 6'8" black man in America. What the hell are they going to do to me that hasn't already been done to me in my life? Yeah, I'm 6'8". What are they going to do or say to me that hasn't already been done or said to me? I have nothing to lose by advocating for people in my community, people who look like me. And even if you don't look like me, because guess what? The rich hedge fund managers don't give a damn if you're black or white. If you ain't got money, they don't care about you. They don't care about you. What did Martin Luther King Jr. say when he was marching down to Alabama in the garbage strike? The white cops came up to him and told him to move. He asked the white cops, how much you make? The white cops told him, he said, well, hell, y'all need to be over here with us, protesting for y'all for higher wages. Martin Luther King Jr. said that. And he absolutely did. So it don't matter. You pour in Brooklyn, you pour in Alabama, you pour in Georgia, you pour in Washington State, you pour in California, Tennessee, Kentucky, you pour all over. That's what this fight is about. It's about uniting working people and poor people so they understand that the system is not broken because it's working the exact way they designed it. You know, you can't have people during a pandemic where 40 million people are out of work, yet the billionaires added $1.5 trillion to their wealth. What the hell? That can't happen unless it's set up to happen like that. That's the only way that can happen is that it's literally set up to happen like that. So the system's not broken. It's working the way it's designed. We need to dismantle the system that allowed our current system to flourish.
That's enough right there to say. That's enough right
Isaiah,
there in the show.
What district is that you're running in New York?
This is Shirley Chisholm's district, the 9th Congressional District. Nice. Shirley Chisholm used to hold this seat. And the fact that we have a black woman who's Jamaican, like me, in a district that is 50% black, but my grandmother always told me, all skin folk ain't kinfolk. Just because you look like me, that don't mean you're immune from criticism because you ain't done a damn thing.
So the current person who holds that seat, you said, is Jamaican and black and not doing what you need to do?
Listen, by every measurable metric, black people in our district, poor people in our district, working people in our district are doing far worse. This coronavirus did not cause the problems we're seeing across this country, but it damn sure exposed the problems in our system and the inequities that are built into the American system. And it's only, like I said, it's going to be up to us to tackle that because guess what? The problems that you're facing aren't going to go away just because you sit down and are tired. I promise you that.
Yeah. No, you said a lot right there. I just wanted to clarify that she wasn't talking about Shirley Chisholm because, you know, she also had a Caribbean background as well. Yeah.
But this is her seat. She literally represents.
Yeah, that's amazing. And there's a legacy there, and it needs to be represented by somebody who's going to represent the people and not the establishment and not the powerful. Isaiah, we got to get you back as you get closer to the race, and actually anytime that you want to come back, we'd love to have you on the show.
We want to help push that campaign, brother,
Absolutely.
because that's a big deal.
Matter of fact, drop the campaign website. Where can they come and support you?
They can go to Isaiah for Congress, ISIAH for Congress.com. Same Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all of that stuff. If you can donate $2 or $3, $5, $10, do that. If not, follow me on Twitter, share, tweet, help spread the message.
Absolutely. Isaiah James, congressional candidate, strong black man, speaking truth to power. Thanks so much for joining us, brother.
Thank you so much for having me.
Rebecca James It's that time of the show. We gonna have to add a third hour, and if y'all need us to add a third hour, we need y'all to go to patreon.com/the BPD show. That's what we're using for now. We got a whole membership system that's coming up in about a week or two. Speaking of patrons, we are having a patron party this weekend. Become a patron, and you can come and hear James spin some of that copyrighted music, some of that stuff that you hear on the radio. James is going to be the ratchet stuff, a little bit of Megan Thee Stallion, a little bit of Cardi B mixed in with some Kirk Franklin.
It's a little bit of City Girls.
City Girls. You got to hear his mix where he mixed in James. He mixed it John P. Key with City Girls. Like it's one of the craziest.
I was like, did he really do that? Because I'm like, when did I miss that?
Oh, he did it on Watch Night. Y'all know what Watch Night is. New Year's Eve.
Which one did I do, Ben?
You did Kirk Franklin, and I think you went to like Megan Thee Stallion.
Yeah, I think it was Megan Thee Stallion.
So if you want those kind of shenanigans,
we're very versatile. We're not a monolithic person. Like we were just discussing this morning before we get out of here, Ben, what we were listening to. I was listening to Tank because I wanted to feel pretty. Tank makes me feel sexy. Tank makes me feel pretty. And this morning I wanted to feel that way as I clip my wig down. Now, Ben, you were listening to John.
I was listening for a change because normally when I wake up in the morning, I listen to like I still listen to Jay-Z like every single morning. But I was like, I needed. Well, he is, but he's kind of problematic in these spaces. But I admit, I listen to him. But musically, I still listen to him. But this morning I had to switch it up. I got some John P. Key in my life this morning. And I felt good. I was dancing around the house. And then James, you were listening to.
Mm-hmm.
What was I listening to? Man, it was all over the place this morning.
Well, you were doing the mix
with Cardi B.
Yeah.
And it was somebody else.
Oh,
man.
you said you were listening to Future.
Yeah. That's who it was.
Future. But
and we're gonna switch and mix the bar. I'll probably listen to Future. Rebecca will still be listening to Tank. As she
tomorrow I'll be listening to gospel. Go back to my gospel because I do start my morning off with that. Or maybe NDRE, go into some neo soul, get the soul right.
Yeah. Whatever you're listening to in the mornings, you should be listening to it with us starting at 8:30 a.m. with More Like It or Not.
Yes, sir.
Rebecca, I don't know if you got a last word. I got all my last word in because y'all know I got to go and break this fast here. I'll be like 10:30. James,
I'm shifty right now. Look, I'm like, I got to know. But love you guys.
Where the food is at?
Where the food at? I love you guys. Mean it. Make sure you tune in tomorrow right here at 8:30 a.m. And we will be back with some more great guests. It's going to be an amazing show. We're already starting off the week so amazing with people with the audacity and people with the word. I don't know what we're going to get tomorrow. Let's see.
I made it through the entire show. I made it through the entire show. Oh, tomorrow, Nina Turner is coming on the show. Nomiki Konst is coming on the show. And Killian Kempston. We got a great lineup tomorrow. So, James, it is in your hands.
More audacity. Tomorrow. It's going to be good.
Tomorrow. The audacity.
Bye, guys.
Bye, y'all. All right, make sure that y'all stay tuned and check us out tomorrow. Got a great show. I'm going to drop y'all a couple of songs here. I got until about 10:45 to Corporate America. Calls my name, y'all. So here we go. Let's get to it. Make sure that you are hitting that like button, share, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff so you know when Like It or Not is going down. Also, don't forget, if you have not already, to download the Voices by Action Sprout app and get connected to Like It or Not. So you can search for Voices by Action Sprout, or you can scan either of the QR codes that are on your screen at the time right now. Use group code 213756, group code 213756 to be connected directly to Like It or Not. Hey.
Don't care about what they expect you to be, 'cause when you find out what that truly means.
And also, if you want to become a patron, what you can do is go and join patreon.com/the BPD show. Patreon.com/the BPD show. That way you can become a supporter of the show and also get ad-free and exclusive content, y'all. So make sure that you go subscribe and become a patron right now.
Stuck in my head saying
Shout out to everybody in the chat. Goku, what's going on? Nicole. Mara, I see you. Shout out to everybody that joined us this morning, man. We greatly appreciate y'all.
Madness, we seek to find the end of the rainbow. Slowly moving towards the light we first intend. Oh yeah. Don't let them get in your head. Don't let them win, no. So don't go pursue a dream that's not your own. Yeah. Don't care about what they expect you to be. Cause when you find out what that truly means, wherever you are, you still feel alone. Always afraid of the unknown. Cause we are not alright. Stuck in our heads, they can't find a way out. Don't close our eyes, cause we are not alright.
Well, you had me from the start. By the way you stared, the way you rolled up for me, yeah. Then I felt your energy. Wasn't used to being loved and treated differently, yeah. But something went wrong, the signals got crossed, and now we're on completely different pages. Let's go where we were, where no one gets hurt. Baby, keep it right there, don't you stress the flow. You're trying to pick the pace up, we should take.
Shout out Sensation and shout out my mom Gwen.
Baby,
Mama Gwen.
Focus, don't you make me change my mind. If you love me, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Baby, don't you, baby, don't you, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Baby, don't you, baby, don't you. Baby,
okay, this is going into my favorites playlist.
Will you take me on a trip? Always up and down and back and forth in merry-go-round. I just wanna get it right. But when you go left, I'm stuck here feeling left behind. Cause something went wrong, the signals got crossed, and now we're going different directions. Let's go where we were, when no one gets hurt. Baby, keep it right there, don't you stress the flow. You're trying to pick the pace up, we should take it slow. Baby, keep your focus, don't you make me change my mind. If you love me, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Baby, don't you, baby, don't you, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Baby, don't you, baby, don't you, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. I got love. Some people say money gets you everything, but it don't make me happy.
Shout out again to everybody that joined us this morning, y'all. Make sure that you are hitting that like button on your way out. Have a good day too, mama.
Cause I got something real. I got love. I got love. I got love. I got love. Some people cruel. Some people try to get tired. If you don't have a reason,
Cam, I appreciate it. You have a good day too.
all worthwhile. 'Cause what I've got,
Samantha, thank you so much.
surely makes the world go round.
Robert, you can email me. Robert, you can email me djx3c.ent@gmail.com. djx3c.ent@gmail.com if you got music that you want to request or if you want to send any tracks, y'all. Yeah, the whop it on out. All right, y'all, that is going to do it for your boy, James Bubba Williams, better known as DJ Exclusive, y'all. Corporate America, once again, is calling my name for today, Tuesday. Hope everybody has a wonderful day today. March 2nd, I just thought about that. Man, we ain't say what today was today, huh? March 2nd, y'all, it's Tuesday. Happy Tuesday to everybody. Make sure that you have a great day. Stay positive. Do whatever you can, y'all. Make it a great day. Control it yourself. You have the destiny. Control your own fate, y'all. We love you. Thank you so much to all of our guests this morning. Special shout out to Javante for coming through and dropping that track off, man. Appreciate it, brother. And we'll see y'all in the morning. Like it or not, we gonna be here. Deuces.